I'm Aaron Rutten, and today I will be painting a Halloween-themed illustration of a mummy. While I am painting, I will share how my process is different this year. In previous years, I used my own imagination or utilized image search to create my Halloween art. As I'm sure you know, image search can be hit or miss. When I search for mummy, I get a lot of images that aren't what I'm looking for. I can try to refine the search, but I am still wasting a lot of time trying to find the type of reference image I want. This year, I'm going to try something that is much faster and more intuitive. I will generate a reference image using Adobe Firefly. The main advantage to this is that I can specify in my prompt the pose, background, lighting, style, and other elements I'd like. The image I generated isn't perfect. The bandages are a little sloppy, the glow from the fire is only on one side, the eyes are not well defined, and the mouth is uncovered. In fact, I found it very hard to generate a mummy without the mouth exposed. I do, however, like the pose and the general lighting and composition. This is more than adequate as inspiration. While the image appears to be anatomically correct, it's important not to assume all AI-generated images will be accurate. They can be somewhat accurate, but you need to cross-reference human-generated references, or use your own artistic intuition, or else your art will contain those same mistakes. The other benefit to using this generated image is that I am not stealing from anyone. If I were to use a reference image I found in image search, depending on how closely I copied it, I could be improperly using another artist's work. Adobe Firefly is generating something completely random, and while it is trained on legally acquired human-generated images, it's not possible to pick out the work of any one specific artist. If I wanted to, I could copy this image exactly, and it would be able to be used commercially. Here's another version in a different pose. It's not a clone of the other mummy because it has some differences, but it's close enough to use if I needed two different poses. I like the one without the arms raised, so I will use that. Using my reference image, I will start painting in Rebelle. I don't have to copy the reference exactly. In fact, my end result will look a lot different. I want this to be in my style, I want to correct the mistakes, and I want to add in details that aren't there. For example, as I'm painting the bandages, I can take cues from the reference to see how the bandages wrap around the body. I can copy the general colors and shading from the reference. But I don't have to follow every single detail in the reference. I can make the bandages flow in the way that feels right to me. I can make the lighting slightly different, so long as it fits my vision for the painting. I'll elaborate on the face, since it's not really visible in the reference. I want my mummy's mouth to be covered, but I will need another reference to get a feel for how the form of the mouth and nose should look when covered by cloth. I will also need to use my intuition and experiment with different ideas, since there are a multitude of ways to do this. Since I am hand painting this, it's easy to try different things until I get it right. The hands are another area that I need to paint myself. I want the hands to have long nails. In theory, I could edit my reference in Photoshop to try and generate a face and hands, but I might not ever get the results I want, and it is just faster to paint these details myself. Now I am going to deviate from the reference a lot here and make the bandages look very ancient and dirty. I'll also splatter some blood on it. It's worth pointing out that many image generators can be very sensitive about what you enter as your prompt. Something with implied violence like blood might not be able to be generated, so again, it's useful to have the skills to add this detail yourself. I'll add lots of rips, holes, and dangling fabric. I'll also add unraveled threads and cobwebs. Again, these are details that are absent from the reference image, but I'm able to add them in myself. And with that, I have a finished painting. It bears some resemblance to the reference, but it's my own original work in my own style. I spent nearly 8 hours painting this. The cynics out there might be wondering, why don't I just generate the artwork instead of painting it? Aside from the fact that I enjoy painting, the generated images look amazing, but they are riddled with the same mistakes. My image might have some mistakes, but at least I made them myself. That all becomes part of my style. AI mistakes are just unintentional random details. And more importantly, none of these images are in my style. I can put my mummy next to other artwork I have done, and you can see a theme. Generated art is always going to look vastly different. If this were a commission or work for hire, then I can easily make changes to it because I know how to paint. If I had to rely solely on generating images, then it would be extremely difficult to make any revisions. There's also the consideration that you or anyone else could generate this same artwork. It might look slightly different, but the general style would still be there. It would be nearly impossible, at least at this point, to generate an image that looks like my hand-painted one, since the image generator is not trained on my work. My hope is that videos like this will take some of the fear and resistance out of using AI to generate images. While I personally do not generate artwork, I think it's a game changer for sourcing reference images to use to create hand-painted works like this. If you'd like a collection of Halloween reference images to use for your own work, become a member and you'll get access to these 31 images along with custom brushes and more. Thanks for watching and have a great Halloween season.